So what is part of the best motocross fitness training program? So after working with hundreds of riders, I've narrowed it down to 3 sections for you guys. And so I guess the biggest problem here is that most riders, when they go and train, they don't really have a plan. They're just training it. They're doing exercise, not training. Okay, and when you're just exercising and getting your heart rate up and just throwing enough shit at the wall and hoping some of it's going to stick, then you just waste a lot of time. So what I find with a lot of the riders that we work with is they can do a lot less training and get better results because they're actually spending their time doing the right stuff rather than doing more of the wrong stuff. So I'm going to break it down into 3 areas, tell you exactly what you need to do, give you some sets, reps, exercises to use, and then you can implement it with your own training. So first thing that we're going to look at is strength work. Okay, so the reason that strength's important is because you've got a bike that weighs about 100 kilos, right? So if you weigh 80 kilos, you've got a 100 kilo bike, 80 kilo rider, it's 180 kilos in total. So if you've got 180 kilos in total, you need to be able to wrestle that around for, say, a 20-minute moto, okay, or half-hour moto, or maybe a little bit shorter depending on what type of racing you do. So the stronger you can get yourself, the lighter you can get that 180 kilo package to feel. And if you can get that 180 kilo package to feel a lot lighter, then you're going to use a lot less energy when you ride. Your endurance is going to be a lot more consistent throughout the race, and you're not going to fade and drop off towards the end of a race. You're probably going to crush a bit less as well because you're going to be more focused and have strength there to muscle the bike around. So I won't go into all the strength exercises, but one of my favorite strength exercises that you can use is the back squat. So I'll just stick you guys up here for a minute. So you can use weight bar and a squat rack. I'll just put it up in the rack here. So back squat's quite simple. Okay, use the rack to get the bar on our back. We shuffle back. Okay, we can do a few reps. Okay, and then we can go back here. The way that you structure your strength work, so what I do for our riders, is we will use like 1 or 2 strength movements a session, okay, depending on the level that they're at with their training and how long they've been working with us. So to start off with, you can do something simple, like with the back squats that I just showed you. So if I write it, I'll just get my texture out. Get my texture out here and we'll write up on the whiteboard. So what you could do to start with for your strength is you could do something simple, okay? If you haven't done much strength work before, you do 4 sets of 10 of back squats, okay, what I just showed you. And so in terms of a weight to start with, just start with a weight that feels comfortable, okay? You don't need to kill yourself. I find a lot of riders with their training, they treat their training like a sprint when it's a marathon. And what I mean by that is you want to be consistently improving your training all year round. Okay, you don't want to have like a period where you go hard for 4 weeks and then stop for 4 weeks and then go hard for another 4 weeks. You want to be consistent. And to be consistent, you've got to do training that's manageable and also progressive as well, okay? Another thing that I see for a lot of riders is they start a program or start doing a particular type of training and they stall out within 3 or 4 weeks because they don't know how to program or how to adjust their training. They get demotivated with their training because they're like, shit, I feel like I'm doing the wrong stuff. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm not really making much progress or like I was in week 1. And then they stop, okay? They get inconsistent with their training. So that gives you a starting point. 4 sets of 10 back squats that you can start with. Pick a weight that's easy for you, okay, or moderate. So that might be 40 kilos. Start off with 40 kilos for week 1. Okay, you could do that depending on what your training's like. Maybe you do that twice a week, okay? And then what you would do is for the next week is we want to slowly ramp that up. So if that's a moderate weight for you, 40, then next time you go to the gym, okay, we can crank that up and we can do, say, 45, okay? And then the week after, then we'll do 50. And the week after, we'll do 55. And so what we're slowly doing is we're slowly ramping the weight up to this 55, okay, over a period of 4 weeks. We're not just going from 40 straight to 55. And what that's going to mean is we can get plenty of reps in, we get our body used to the movement, and that's the best way to be able to build strength. You don't have to be working to failure and killing yourself every time you go and train to see progress. You just have to be consistent with rocking up to training and just put on a little bit of weight onto the bar than what you did the previous week. Okay, it's not about maxing out and redlining all the time. So that's the first thing that I do. The second component to a great training program is you want to have some form of cardio or conditioning, okay? So we're in the garage gym today, so I've got my Concept 2 rower here. So most gyms will have a Concept 2, or you might even have one at home or a similar rowing machine. You can use any piece of cardio equipment. You could use an elliptical machine, you could use a treadmill, you could do sprints at the park, you could use a Concept 2, you could use an assault bike, an exercise bike, a cycling bike, a mountain bike. Heaps of different cardio tools. But the most important thing is not the tool itself. Okay, there's no like, oh, mountain biking is better than using an exercise bike, or is a rowing machine better, or is an assault bike better, or am I better off to do skipping? At the end of the day, yes, some of those are better than others, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is how you use those pieces of equipment. So what we want to do is when we are rowing, is we want to use what we call interval training. Okay, so interval training is just short, sharp bursts of high intensity activity, followed by a bit of rest. Okay, and the reason we want to do that is because when you're out on the motocross track, let's say you're doing a 20-minute moto, I see a lot of guys that are cycling. Okay, they do hours and hours and hours of cycling. And the problem is with just doing hours and hours and hours of cycling is when you go and race, you might do a 20-minute race. In that 20 minutes, it's not like going for a cycle ride. Okay, you're not just ticking over, going in the same motions for 20 minutes. You've got periods of the track that require a lot more effort than other parts of the track. So like you might go through a really rough whoop section, takes a lot of physical effort, really manhandling the bike, okay, really tiring and causes a bit of fatigue or uses a bit of energy. But then once you get past that, you might get into a corner where there's a bit of a berm and you can sit down and hold it on. You're still moving fast, but you're not using anywhere near as much energy. Then you come up out of that corner and then you might have some braking bumps going to the next corner, so you get back up on the pegs and it's fighting the bike again. So it's this fluctuation of going from like, you know, very physically demanding, less physically demanding, very physically demanding, less physically demanding. That's what's making up the 20 minutes. Okay, so this is how you can get the most out of your training without having to go and do hours and hours of cycling, which isn't going to be as effective as doing interval work. So you can set up your Concept 2. To give you an example of what you could do, you could just create your own workout. Okay, you go new workout, intervals time, we go a minute. Okay, skip across. Go a minute again, set that, no, and then there we go. Then you're ready to rock and roll. That's going to take you through a minute of work followed by a minute rest. Main thing here is you're focusing on intensity. Okay, it's those minute rounds are go, go, go. It's like you're doing like a sprint lap. Okay, for you to be able to qualify for racing. You want to make sure you're going hard on those 1 minute. Okay, it's not a leisurely stroll. And then you've got a minute complete rest, and then you're ready to go again. If you want to get your heart rate jacked up a little bit more, okay, and work your cardio and your lungs a little bit more, on the rest periods, what you can do is throw in an easy movement. So something that's different to rowing, okay? So you could go from the rowing machine maybe to a treadmill and do a minute on the treadmill, or you could do, say, a minute of burpees, okay? Or you could do a minute of pull-ups, and you can alternate. So you'll go a minute rowing, a minute burpees, a minute rowing, a minute burpees, a minute rowing, minute burpees. What you'll find is that will actually get your heart rate up a lot higher, and you will be breathing out of all holes because we're changing the movement. Your lungs are still being challenged, your heart rate's going to go through the roof because we're using two different movements together. Okay, so that type of workout's called a couplet, but it's still interval training. So what you could do, as an example, if we write that on our whiteboard here, we could do, say, 6 rounds. Okay, we do 1 minute row. Max effort, that's the key here, okay? And then we could do 1 minute of burpees, okay, as many as you can. So during a whole workout, that's gonna be 12 minutes in total, okay? That's gonna be a lot more intense and a lot more effective for a motocross rider than, say, going for a cycle for an hour. Okay, and again, it's about the intensity, okay? If you do this workout and you just plod along and go through the motions, then yeah, you're probably not going to feel the benefits of it. But if you actually truly give it 100% and you truly pull on that row as hard as you possibly can and you go for it in those burpees, you will feel things in your body and your lungs that you probably haven't felt before. And what that means is we can get your training and fitness to a point where then when you jump on the bike, the riding doesn't feel anywhere near as demanding as what it did before. So that's the second thing. Third thing, okay, which is a little bit different. Hopefully the lighting's all right in the corner here. But I just went into the cupboard before and got some of the products that I've used over the years. I don't have any affiliation with these brands at all. That's just the brands that I've got. The reason that I use these particular brands is number one, they're cheap. Number two, they have good quality products. There's a lot of products out there, especially from supermarkets, that are just full of fillers and crap. that you don't need. Okay, so like it says protein on the front, and then you look at the ingredients list and you're like, holy shit, it's got everything in there, and a tiny bit of protein. So I found these ones to be the best. So both of these brands here, we've got True Protein, and we've got Bulk Nutrients. So the third thing to narrow it down is nutrition. Okay, it's making sure you've got your race day nutrition dialed in, and also your during the week nutrition. So just to give you guys an example of what you can use for race day, is you can use a combination of these two. So this one's called Endurance by True Protein. It's an online company. I don't think they make this product anymore, but Bulk Nutrients do something that's similar, which is called Electrolyte Plus, which is also great. This is a carb supplement, okay? It's pretty much just sugar. Whole heap of carbs in here. So here, if we have a look here, for Lemon Burst, we've got about 45 grams of carbohydrates in here, okay, in this endurance mix, which is a fair bit of carbs. So for a motocross racer, okay, for a 20-minute, half-hour motor, you can have half a scoop of this in maybe like 300-400 mils of water, okay? It is very sweet. If you have a look inside, I'll see if I can get this open with one hand and still hold the camera. It looks like cocaine, okay? It's not cocaine, but it looks like cocaine. This second thing here is chocolate honeycomb, whey protein. So whey protein you want to use after each race, okay? For a motocross race, you can probably have half a protein shake, so you could have half a scoop and mix that in, say, 300 or 400 mils of water as well. Reason I recommend whey protein over other types of protein is whey protein is the one that's digested by the body the easiest and the fastest, okay? And so when you've been racing and you've been physically exerting yourself, even same for training, we want to make sure we're giving your body protein to help it rebuild and repair itself, okay? Because we've caused damage to the body and to the muscles. So what I see a lot of riders do is they don't do any post-race recovery, okay? So they start off the day feeling okay, and then the accumulation of fatigue over the day leads them to not be feeling too good by the time they get to the last race. So that's what I use there, and again, you can get that from Bulk Nutrients as well. So to give you a quick summary, they're the top three things. The first thing we looked at was the strength training, doing the right strength stuff, okay? And we mapped out a little bit of a plan there that you can start with your strength work and some weights. The second thing was interval training, okay? Doing the right type of cardio. So we looked at the rowing machine and setting the monitor up there. If you really want to push it on your rest periods, you can do another movement like we put together, which was the burpees. So there's an example workout that you could use. And then the third thing was the nutrition that we tackled over here. Okay, so making sure you've got your race day or ride day nutrition sorted. You've got some sort of maybe carb supplement and then a protein supplement to help with your recovery, so you can have more consistent energy throughout your race day. For those of you that are interested, if you'd like some help with the nutrition and training side and you want everything mapped out for you so you can make sure you're doing the right stuff, you can apply for my Faster Laps program down below. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed this video.